Our U.S. Capitol by Mary Firestone, illustrated by Matthew Skeens. Welcome to our U.S. Capitol. My name is Celine, and I'm a tour guide here. Our U.S. Capitol has become one of the best known symbols of freedom and democracy in the world. Did you know that it took more than 30 years to build the Capitol? Read on to learn more about it. Where laws are made. The U.S. Capitol building is in Washington, D.C. The Capitol is where the country's laws are made. The building has grown and changed a lot over the years, just like the country. The location. In 1790, leaders of the United States decided on a capital city and named it Washington after the country's first president, George Washington. That same year, the U.S. Congress passed a law that said a Capitol building would be built. It would be located on the banks of the Potomac River. A winning idea. Finding someone to design the Capitol building was not easy. Thomas Jefferson, a top government official, suggested having a design contest. The contest promised $500 to the winner, but Washington and Jefferson didn't like any of the 17 ideas entered in the contest. A doctor named William Thornton sent in his design after the contest was over. Both Washington and Jefferson liked Thornton's ideas the best, so his design was chosen. Construction of the U.S. Capitol building began in 1793. Parts of the Capitol. Thornton's design had a dome and rotunda in the center and large wings or sections to the north and south. The north wing was finished in 1800. It housed the Senate chamber. In the same wing, the Supreme Court chamber was completed in 1810. The south wing was finished in 1807. The House of Representatives met in the House chamber in the south wing. The rotunda is a huge round room that sits between the two wings. It was completed in 1826. After the wings were finished, the rotunda has a dome on top. When it was first built, the dome was made of wood and covered with a reddish brown metal called copper. The Capitol during war. The Capitol building was still unfinished when the War of 1812 to 1815 broke out. Battles were fought near Washington and the British set fire to buildings. As the Capitol burned, a rainstorm moved over the city. The rain put out the flames. The Capitol was still standing, but the insides were nearly destroyed. After surviving the War of 1812 and the fire, the Capitol was finally finished in 1826, 33 years after construction had started. A growing nation. The population of the United States almost doubled between 1840 and 1860. New states were added, so more senators and representatives were coming to Washington. Soon the Capitol was too small. Construction that lasted from 1851 to 1868 doubled the size of the Capitol. Workers added new wings and built new chambers for the House of Representatives and the Senate. A bigger dome. The new wings made the dome at the center of the building look too small. The old dome was removed and work began on a new one. The new dome was made of cast iron. The metal made it fireproof. American artist Thomas Crawford created a huge statue called Freedom for the top of the dome. It stood more than 19 feet tall. Freedom was placed on top of the dome more than 140 years ago. a soldier's hospital. When the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, began, the construction of the Capitol stopped briefly. President Abraham Lincoln thought that if construction continued, it would be a good sign that the country would make it through the war. Soon, Congress ordered the construction on the wings to restart. During the war, soldiers lived in the Capitol. The building also served as a hospital for wounded troops. The basement was turned into a bakery so soldiers would have a fresh supply of bread. A modern Capitol. In 1962, a very large addition was finished on the east front side of the Capitol. In 1976, the old Senate Chamber, National Statuary Hall, and the old Supreme Court Chamber were restored. In 1983, the west walls of the Capitol were strengthened and restored. Throughout the years, the Capitol has gotten its own power plant, subway system, and post office. In some ways, it works like a small city. Millions of people visit our U.S. Capitol each year. It is a symbol of freedom and democracy. Visitors can even watch members of Congress in action. With so many visitors, Congress added the Capitol Visitor Center in 2007 to improve comfort and safety for everyone. I hope you enjoyed learning about the U.S. Capitol. Come visit soon. And so we will close this reading with some U.S. Capitol facts. French architect Pierre L'Enfant was the first man hired to design the Capitol, but he was fired in 1792 because he wouldn't make drawings of his design. He said he had the plans in his head. The south wing of the U.S. Capitol holds National Statuary Hall, where statues of successful U.S. citizens are on display. They include former leaders, artists, teachers, and religious figures. The U.S. flag flies over the House and Senate wings of the Capitol when Congress is in session. At night, a lantern on the top of the dome is also lit to show that Congress is working. Here are some terms that you should be familiar with. Architect, a person who plans what new buildings will look like and decides how the rooms will fit together. Chamber, a room where government leaders meet. Civil War, started in 1861, ended in 1865, the battle between states in the North and South that led to the end of slavery in the United States. Congress, the group of people in the U.S. government who make laws. Democracy, a kind of government in which the people make decisions by voting. Dome, a raised round roof. House of Representatives, one of the two houses of the U.S. Congress. It has 435 members called representatives. Restored, to have brought something back to its original condition. Rotunda, a large round room covered by a dome. Senate, one of the two houses of the U.S. Congress. It has 100 members called senators. Each state has 2 senators. Supreme Court, the most powerful court in the United States. Symbol, an object that stands for something else. War of 1812, 1812 to 1815, a war between the United States and Great Britain over unfair British control of shipping, often called the Second War of Independence. These are your U.S. Capitol facts.